Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Will you be available for a couple
Yeah.
of minutes for questions? OK,
Yeah.
so you can find Ed for additional questions in the speaker corner in the main lobby. OK, cool. I'm very excited to introduce to you our last speaker for today. Igor Barinov is the tech lead of POA Network. And POA Network is a project that's probably come onto your radar, I should say an organization, a group, probably come onto your radar recently. These guys won the ETH Prize Award. You were the first winners, I think, of the ETH Prize Award.
Winners.
For the work that they've done on the open source block explorer Block Scout, which you just launched, what, about a month ago? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, about a week ago we launched the open source blockchain explorer.
So this is a super critical piece of infrastructure in the ecosystem.
Right.
And you guys are also working on interoperability and scalability of sidechains.
That's absolutely right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool, your clicker's there. Take it away. Join me in welcoming Igor.
Yeah, thank you. People are leaving. They don't know that toilets are not working. So toilets will be here at 6:30 after my call, after my talk. Yeah, and I'm the only one thing that stops you from, enjoying drinks. But, I'll try to make it entertaining. It's kind of hard to present after all these exciting projects. Also, I should have put a disclaimer, because we're going to talk about a game where you can buy and sell drugs. Please don't do this in real life. Yeah, so that's kind of a new type of presentation for me, because usually when I present, I'm explaining about our project, right? For example, today I had a session about Block Scout, and I presented this explorer, and I explained why we build it and so forth. Right, but here I will present from perspective of a game which deployed on POA. So I asked them to explain why they migrated from Ethereum Mainnet to POA network, and what was their decision tree, why they decided to migrate to Sidechains. And when we think about Sidechains, it was like a joke about 2 years ago, right? When you explained, OK, I want to create a public permissioned network. It sounds like oxymoron, right? So what's public permissioned network? It's designed to be protected by some, centralized entity which will onboard validators, and these validators will verify transactions and blocks and then build this blockchain for the public. But this should be private blockchain, and we separated public and private. Right now, with some new innovations like on-chain governance and self-governance of validators, we can build new type of networks. And POA is one of these networks. I will start with, so now I will be not Igor, but Dara. And Dara is a developer of a Operator game. So what type of games we have on Ethereum right now? So most of these games are quite simple, right? So it can be like collectibles, where you can buy this collectible and wait when a new function will appear. And many collectible games, they just sold the ERC-721 tokens, and they tell you, OK, we will develop some games, and we have some games in production, but they are not available now. There are some gambling lotteries, dice, FOMO, all these Ponzi's and pyramid games. And a new category of games like idle games and games where you can win some prizes and tokens, but games are actually off-chain. And we have this type of games, but we don't have more advanced games because of Ethereum network conditions. That's me as a dApp developer. I figured out when I deployed on Ethereum mainnet. Sometimes gas price is OK, but sometimes we can have gas storms like Fcoin type of problem, right, or CryptoKitties. And during this time, transaction costs can be very expensive. Right, and it's unpredictable, so it's hard to design game economy if it's not a type of the game where you have uncertainty. And also, it's kind of hard to get into blocks, because most blocks on Ethereum mainnet are fully filled by other transactions. And there is no vertical scalability paradigm in Ethereum at the moment, so miners cannot dramatically increase block size, right? What people can do on sidechains. And we have this we have this type of games because we have to fit our dApps into these networking conditions. But the operator decided to make a new type of game. So it's a game about economy, and economy is on-chain. And every action and game costs some native tokens of the chain where it's deployed. And when I make an action in this network, I actually contribute this money into economy. Money from me as a player flows into economy. For example, when I move from one district to another district in this game to make an action, it cost me 2 POA, 22 cents. And this money increased price of weed and coke, virtual weed and coke, in this district in the game. And state of this game is on-chain. And all actions are part of crypto economy. There is no backend server with Node.js application with some state, so everything is on-chain. And also, this game performs a lot of computations on supply and demand between multiple players. So that's how this game looks like. So we have a production screen, and on the left top side we have a character, and this character has some attributes, and he can produce these products by spending some POA tokens on creating this product, and also having some items he purchased in another district. So there is a market. So if something is produced, it can be sold, and price determined by demand and supply. And there is rating. So if someone produces something and deliver it to another district, he can be caught and rated. And there is a probability, depending on stats of the player, to get raided or get defended when someone raids you. So it's quite complex type of game, type of RPG game, right? And when we developed this game and tried to deploy it on Ethereum, we figured out that economy is the game is working slow and it's very expensive. So we had some options, right? So we can wait till Ethereum will solve a scalability solution. When it's long, usually we need to wait a long time because it's not solved for since, I don't know, December of last year with CryptoKitties, right? So we can migrate to another ecosystem, for example, EOS or Tron. EOS are blazing fast, but we have to rewrite our application. We can run or rent your own sidechain. With Substrate, it will be easier, but now running your own sidechain means a lot of expertise, right? And also you have to have tools for the sidechains, and none of these tools are available for sidechains. For example, Blockchain Explorer was not available as an open source Blockchain Explorer, and Infura didn't work with sidechains, and MetaMask doesn't support sidechains, and so forth. You can rent sidechain. Actually, that's a model of Loom network, and but you have a centralized party which decide do they like this game or not. If its game is not good with setting, for example, it's a game about buying and selling narcotics, they can say no, right? They will not allow dApp developers to deploy to their ecosystem. Or you can use an EVM-compatible sidechain. That's what I started to explore, and I had some things that were required for our game. And well, sidechain should be EVM compatible because we already deployed this application for Ethereum. It should be open source. It should have these open source tools like Blockchain Explorer, support of wallets, and support of RPC interfaces with scalability for reads. It should be easy to onboard. So it should be like connect another RPC to client, and it should start to work. Well, and it should have empty blocks. So when player submit a transaction, this transaction will be included in the block and will be processed by the UI, right? Later on, so it will reflect immediately. Actually, when we have 5-second blocks, but blocks are empty, we can have faster response in the UI because transaction can be included not in 5 seconds, but in 4 seconds, in 3, and so forth, right? With 5-second blocks, UI for this game is perfect. And also, it's good to have planet-friendly consensus algorithm where validators don't spend excessive amount of energy to create blocks and protect public value. So, and the most important thing that this sidechain should be available now. Most solutions we explore when we think about scalability are not available, right? And this solution should be available now because we already developed this game. We need this game. We need to give this game to players right now. So that's how we figure out that there is a POA. So POA is Ethereum-compatible network with the same parameters and mainnet, faster blocks, empty blocks, and token of POA is traded on major exchanges. And we thought that we need to migrate our tokens. So we moved we created a custom ERC7-to-1 bridge to transfer narcos from mainnet to POA, and we migrated about 300 ERC7-to-1 tokens from network to network. This model is working for us with like one-way transfer, but for we know another game, and they used the bridge to have two-way peg ERC7-to-1. The game is EverDragons. So EverDragons, they have a bridge where you can move your dragon between networks. Some players prefer to play on Ethereum mainnet. Some players prefer to play on a sidechain. You will have different groups of people and different speed and maybe different reward, but you have this option to play on 2 games. But we decided to migrate from Ethereum to POA core, right? And we migrated the market where players can sell their narcos after they leveled them up. It was a straightforward process. So after having this game deployed on POA, we figure out that something is not good enough for our game, right? The big problem for us is that we cannot set price points denominated in stable currency, and the price of computation on POA is not expensive. So if POA goes down 20% and goes up 20%, price of computation is very small. But if a player has token balance in POA, it can be significant loss or, well, profit. But during this current crypto market condition, right, so for most players who purchase this POA token to play the game, it's losses if they have the same balance. So they can earn something in game, they can earn money in game, but they cannot have the same amount of dollars denominated in dollars when they want to sell this POA and get US dollars. So instability in currency price, it's almost for every cryptocurrency, right? There are solutions like stable tokens. I read a report recently. There are like 57 stable tokens, and most of them are ERC20 tokens on Ethereum mainnet, right? So ERC20 is good in some situations, but there is no easy way to migrate this ERC20 token to POA and use it within the game. Plus, ERC20 token has some limitation, and sometimes it's easier to use native currency if we have stable native currency. So now it's a part of Dara. So it's his presentation. So he explained why, like what he developed, and how he decided to migrate from Ethereum mainnet to POA, which design decision he had, and what he's expecting from the network, and what he received. Basically, the network, like the app on the network, is working as it was expected. Now they're looking for some solutions how to onboard users faster. For example, if you have Ethereum, you can have USD to Ethereum, right? If you have POA, you have USD to Ethereum to POA. So one more hop, and for players, it's not obvious how to do this, right? And also they have losses when they convert one currency to another. So now they have some work on having like coupons where you can get this coupon and convert it to ERC721 token with some POA balance within, and you can start playing. And if you think that game is interesting enough, then you can buy more POA and start playing with high stakes. So this is a GIF from POA Blackscale Blockchain Explorer, and we decided to build reactive updates. So when you open blockscale.com, you can see how blocks created. And when you think about 5 seconds, it's hard to imagine immediately what is 5 seconds, right? When I have to wait 5 seconds. But when you see blocks and when blocks are created and you see how fast they're created and how empty they are, you understand, wow, that should be fast enough for the game. So blocks are faster than on Ethereum mainnet, and computation price is cheaper. Cheaper because when we start a new sidechain, we can decide parameters. And the market determined the price of POA, and it decided that it's much, much less than other Ethereum networks, like Ethereum or Ethereum Classic and so forth. Well, and the good thing that network is upgradable, so we built in within our governance model that validators who secure the network can decide to upgrade the protocol by on-chain voting. And using on-chain voting, they can upgrade protocol, and protocol will replace some parameters of this network. So sidechain with mainnet, right? Blocks are faster, gas price fixed, blocks are empty, but there is a big disadvantage. So platform usage price is volatile, right? So it means that if a game build economy for the game based on POA token, then there is a problem that the POA token can go down, and players will lose their money. So a few days ago, we introduced a new sidechain. And this is the beauty of sidechains. When you have a new idea, you can think, OK, I need to add something. In our case, we had to use new consensus contracts, and we had to introduce a new bridge, ERC20 to native. And we started a hard spoon, a new network without any token within. And native token of this network can be created by bridging ERC20 tokens of stable currency. So it's based on DAI. As I mentioned, there are 57 stable tokens, but we like DAI because it's more fair and decentralized, and with governance, and also it's based on instrument that we like, collateralized debt positions. And we played with DAI before and had this depth position open and understood how it works, and decided that this is a better option for this new type of sidechain. So now on this screenshot, price of DAI is $1 and whatever 2 cents, right? Most likely the price is the same, $1, 2 cents. So that's the beauty of DAI, that it's stable. So we created xDai chain. So xDai chain is hard spoon. So no emission and no block reward within this sidechain. So when validators create a block, reward per block is 0, right? And there is no pre-mine. So network starts with 0 coins. So if no one will use this bridge between two networks, the network will be empty, right? Like empty blocks without transactions because no coins within. But we developed DAI bridge, which bridged ERC20 tokens of DAI ERC20 to xDai, native representation of this token on xDai chain. So this network is live, is in production, and has market cap of $465. So that's what people bridged from Ethereum mainnet to sidechain. So this is a ERC20 to native token bridge. Idea here is to show how fast it is to convert. So basically, sorry for this quick animation. So basically, when you want to transfer ERC20 token of DAI to and mint new xDai, you use dApp of this bridge. So there is no backend. So this dApp is when tokens are locked on Ethereum network, this bridge will mint native tokens on this sidechain. And when these native tokens are burned on sidechain, it will unlock DAI on Ethereum network. And signature aggregation between a group of validators who are working as like oracles between two networks and relay events is on xDai chain. And this xDai bridge is whitelisted. So when you move your DAI tokens from Ethereum to xDai chain, it's free for validators to create this emission on the DAI chain, right? When you want to move back, validators will aggregate signatures on xDai chain, and they will relay one transaction on Mainnet. So this bridge is working, and it's a main source of creating these new stable tokens. So what's the benefit of this new sidechain for developers? So it's compatible with Ethereum. So there's it has all benefits of POA networks, public permissioned consensus, and it's stable. So gas price is stable. For example, 1 gigaway, and with $1 for native currency, 500 transactions will cost 1 cent. And platform usage is stable. So if game is designed to have this amount of actions within the game, then it will be the same price today, it will be the same price tomorrow, right? And balances of players also stable. So but there are some disadvantages for sure. So one big disadvantage of this network that it has one more point of failure, right? With POA network itself, it's a governance model where validators can decide something on network parameters that will be not good for token holders. For example, they can increase emission or change some parameters like decrease gas volume or increase gas price. But here we have one more point of failure, which is a bridge, right? And at the moment, both networks are with probabilistic finality, and can be some networking problems which can bring some security issues. But with a market cap of $465 US, it's not that big risk. And security model is scalable. So you can scale it by increasing number of validators or by introducing sidechain with instant finality, what we plan to do. So that's my end of my talk. Just to summarize, that right now games we think that games are a very important type of applications because they can bring adoption of public blockchains to more broader audience, right? Because gamers, it's like billion people playing games, and there are some game models which fit good into blockchain economy, like RPG game, right? Which can be on chain. And we think that most problems we have to develop more advanced game we already solved. And that's a good example how sidechains can be used with Mainnet. Because when you think about, why do we need sidechains, forks, all these altcoins, and you look into them and you think, okay, like empty blocks, some volatile model, like you're unsure about the future of these coins, and you think, yeah, why do we need this, right? If we have we can build, Ethereum 2.0, Sharding, and so forth. But sometimes some applications need to have this immediately available solution because they already developed something that can be deployed if we have fast, less expensive network with this type of consensus, and also can be upgraded to have new features, or can be scaled horizontally. Yeah, we launched this sidechain with xDai as an experiment. And in a week, 4 projects asked us, can we use this type of model to launch our own sidechain but with our ERC20 token, because this is what is interesting to us. We raised funds as ERC20 token on mainnet. We cannot scale our dApp. We thought that ERC20 to ERC20 bridge will be interesting, but more interesting is ERC20 to native. And this model was discovered on ETH Berlin hackathon a few weeks ago. And since then, we deployed this network, and this network is basically in production. Right, and we're taking responsibility, and it's connected to all our tools. It has a blockchain explorer, RPCs, it has some plans how to promote this type of model. And but we don't want to launch this network for other people, right? So we provided deployment playbooks and instructions how to launch this type of network, and it can be used by anyone to create this type of network. And it will create networks, which is interesting for the community right now, because they think, oh, that's what I need, right? It's not because something exists. It's because I need this, exactly, like xDai chain, I need it for my project. So that's a great thing about Sidechains, that we can experiment. I have 3 more minutes for Q&A, if you have any questions. Yeah, sure. Mike?
So you mentioned there's no block reward for validators?
Yep.
Is there an incentive to be a validator?
Yeah, sure. Validators get transaction fees for 500 transaction, 1 cent. If you just imagine you're a cloud provider and you can relay 500 messages with like 300 bytes, and you can get 1 cent for this. Oh, you'll say, yeah, I'd like to have it, right? So it's a good model. So more people will use the sidechain, more transaction fees. So on the top.
So POA network, you are using a proof of authority networks, right? Or is the name on something else?
Yeah, it's what we were inspired. We didn't coin a new name for this. We should make it more clear that it's not the traditional proof of authority type of model where there are a centralized entity which distribute keys to validators and manage them. So we use self-governed network. So we had a trusted ceremony when the network was bootstrapped and first initial validators were created. And they were distributed to some validators. And in different settings can be different set of validators. For example, our first network, we launched it with US individuals as validators. But after, they have on-chain governance enforceable by consensus algorithm, where any validator can propose a ballot to add or remove a validator from the network. If someone misbehave, right, for example, the most common possible misbehaving is like not keeping your node online, then any validator can propose a ballot to remove this validator. So this network is governed by self-governance, and that's actually how small commons are governed since early days of when people started to organize together, right? Self-governed community. But POA stands for proof of authority, term coined by Gavin Wood, and we like this idea, and we kind of thought about how to make POA public, right? And how to make this type of consensus public and, well, let's say trustless, right? Not all people agree with this. But it's, this consensus is public, trustless, decentralized in some sense. One more, yeah, sure.
If I can do a follow-up, because it sounds like if you're doing something like a DAI chain or a token-based chain, it really sounds like doing it in a proof of stake would make a lot of sense, because your network is a proof of stake, which is then backed by another token like a DAI or something else. And I wonder if you plan on releasing a proof of stake-based sidechain, subchains.
Yeah, that's important that we have a validator set, right? So this validator set can be modified somehow. In our model, this validator set is modified by on-chain governance. Then validators can decide who is in validator set and who are not. But this model can be designed to have stake as a mechanism to decide who is in validator set. So it's I think we saw this in two talks before. Yeah, that's the model that validator set somehow managed by stake or by on-chain governance. Yeah.
Igor.
Thank you.
Thank you.